All right, guys, thank you for being here today. And first day, always awesome to be out there. And the energy is what you want all the time, day one. And what can you say? Again, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of juice, levels of physicality when you're in spiders. You certainly have to, you got to walk the line, but I think our guys did a good job staying up for the most part. Very competitive. Miles to go, obviously. Got to get in football shape to practice good football. That's a big thing. And the off-season in a good way shows up for our guys in a lot of different ways, but playing football is different. And when you wear the pads, it's different. But off to a solid start. Again, miles to go and looking forward to getting better. Questions, please.
Did you feel like a lot of the momentum from the end of the season kind of carried into this first practice and you kind of seeing that all start to click?
Well, I don't think momentum's ever stopped since like even year one going into year two and the way things ended, because I think everybody knows, people in the building, that the people that are here now and the work that we do is going to lead to continued progress. And so, yeah, they've been chomping at the bit to get out there. A little bit of a different model for the offseason because we played so late into the season. I believe it's almost 24, 25 straight weeks, which is different for Miami. So the guys that had over a certain amount of game reps, they were subjected to a different offseason, at least initially, until their bodies had reached a point where we could go. Because when we go, and not in a reckless manner, but we're physical, we practice hard, and I think it's caught the attention of not only our players, but it's in the way we play, it shows. And I think yesterday's pro day was an indication of the fact that the NFL loves the way that the Miami Hurricanes play football. So all in all, just again, solid day. Looking forward to hopping on that film, getting these guys in here and getting better.
It's only day one, but Darian Mensah, just initial impressions and to finally see him in a team setting and in a practice setting.
A complete professional, ownership of the system, great command, personality, arm talent, escapability, pocket presence, accurate, knowledgeable, great energy about him as well. Just people gravitate to him, and he's, people are attracted to that kind of energy. And I think he's another galvanizing agent. We've been very fortunate in that regard over the past several years about the quarterback being someone who galvanizes people. But I think him, and then the return of guys like Mark Fletcher, Ahmad Moten, even though, he's going to miss, most of spring due to, some stuff. I think all those guys, Motoré, they galvanize this unit, and I think Darian Mensah has fit in perfectly.
In addition to Ahmad, is there anybody else who protected us?
There'll be some guys that it's not protection as much as it is just legitimate recovery from just off-season stuff that you got to do. I think we set the tone here that you practice. You're going to practice here. That's the way we roll. I don't think you pull the throttle back and try to create sacred cows on your team. I don't think that helps anybody, especially not the culture. Again, we're not reckless with it, but we go hard, and we're fast, and we're physical. And for the most part, the team in its entirety will be practicing.
Mario, when you think about how long till the season, right? What's the biggest focus out of these spring practices as you guys, the guys that are stepping up to the next level to be leadership here? Like, what's the goal and what's the model for the team for spring ball?
Yeah, that takes time. The leadership part really does. But during this time, you want to really master our systems and the technique and the fundamentals that go with it, and then be able to play snap to whistle like all day. That's critical, right? Because playing hard a lot of time makes up for a lot of stuff that maybe you didn't do right. And with that goes just elite communication. You got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to secure the football. You got to be able to disrupt it. And then the cultural part of it, running on and off the field, playing with max effort, being a good teammate. Some of these guys come from programs where some things are tolerated that here they're just not. And so message one is lose your sensitivity, because if you are wearing a U, whether you're a coach or a player, at some point in time, you're going to get your butt chewed out. And you're not going to like it. And that's okay. It's not for any other purpose but to bring something to your attention that's going to make you better and make the team better and help us win football games. So I think all in all, this team, they love attacking work. And we got to make them callous. We got to gain experience in certain areas that we don't have a ton of experience at. But all in all, I just see a team with, I would just say, we got work to do. But excited about the work to be done.
First day with them.
With a kid like Jackson being able to be here for all his ball practices and all that, did it show today? He's a little bit ahead of schedule.
Yeah, he was probably happy that Ruben and Mesidor weren't in there today. That was his baptism when he was here. at the end of the season. Absolutely. And he's such a high level caliber athlete, but you still have to adjust to this level of speed, power, and everything else that goes with it. And he's a sponge, and he attacks his dailies like a professional as well. So, and you've seen him. He's massive. 6'8" plus. I don't know what he weighs, but it's a lot. But it's the right kind of weight. I think you guys are very familiar with Coach Mirabal and his regiment, the way he trains guys, and the mentorship of a Matt McCoy, of a Ryan Rodriguez, of a Samson Okunlola. That is priceless right now. And those are guys, and I know we lose starters, but those guys are all co-starters or have started. So all in all, I think it's just a great situation for him and some of these other young offensive linemen.
First day of practice with Coach Upshaw, Coach Vitti, just what stood out about them during the hiring process?
Yeah, we're a pretty rigorous hiring process. We get after it like we do practice, and those guys stood out in the manner that, number one, is they're masters of their craft. We want elite teachers with great presence, guys that can impact the room, guys that aren't afraid to have tough conversations with people as it relates to their betterment, because that does come with it. Guys that are organized, detailed. We felt that they were both guys that could elevate this program. Coach Vitti, on his part, he's a well-documented. He's a war hero. He's done things that none of us could ever even fathom. So always indebted to him for his service and whatnot. But early indications are that these guys are not a good fit. They're an awesome fit. Fabian Upshaw, we knew him from his days at FIU, where he actually played for us. And he really established himself as a high-level coach and got himself to the NFL, where they felt so strongly about him with Denver. We had to take a look at him, and these were two no-brainer hires for us, and really excited about them.
And then I think it was Terry Jefferson working with the corners today. Is he going to be like the main cornerbacks coach, or are you still, hiring process still going on for that? I guess.
Well, we're going to evaluate it. I think Terry is an awesome coach, and he's working with those corners right now, as is Coach Harris. Coach Harris works with everybody, as well as some of our other analysts, but we're going to continue to evaluate it, but he's certainly a strong candidate in this process.
Sort of the piggyback off of Mike's first question about momentum. With Pro Day yesterday, we saw the crowd for the guys who were going to be leaving, and what the growth has been there.
Sure.
What do you hope that group instilled in the group that is still here as you guys move forward and try to continue taking those next steps? Yeah,
that group is callous, and I've used that word a few times. They are. They're resilient because they went through that 5 and 7, or at least witnessed it. And I've said it a few times. I don't mean to sound redundant, but those were the guys that sat outside of Hard Rock and, probably painfully waited for me to come and see him after the game, after we're done with media, to talk to him after an awful loss. But they're intelligent. They're high IQ guys. They understand that that's, when you have to flip a roster and flip a program, that comes with it. And if you're willing to endure and be an agent of change, that's probably what stands out most of the NFL scouts talking about our guys, that these guys were all difference makers and game changers that elevated the profile of a program. But I think it's important to note also, in a world where so many teams are out there just dedicate themselves to winning the offseason on social media, I think that factual, genuine pro day like that naturally is tremendous momentum, organic momentum, and also a testament and validation of all the stuff that we preached and talked about on the way in. And right now it's just only motivation to do it better, to do it bigger, and finding ways within our processes and our people to improve that.
One more question. Coach, the back and forth that was quite between you and Coach Kirby a couple weeks ago, was it all impromptu? Did it catch you off guard? And how would you describe your relationship with Coach Kirby?
I don't know. That's kind of a strange question. I really don't know how to answer it. I was put in a situation where I had to respond, and I thought I responded and represented the University of Miami extremely well. But I could have gone on and on. But you come. I don't really have. Coaches don't have time to really hang out and do much, but we all work together at some point in time. So there is a relationship there, and certainly levels of respect. But I don't know, it's one of those things I've never been a part of. I don't really like those things, but if put in that situation, then you just respond like you're supposed to.
Coach,
last question. Go ahead.
What do you got, guys? Let's a couple more. You go a couple more. You got time, After today, though, I don't know, guys.
Can I ask you, Coach, you talked about Jackson Campbell, but in addition to him, the other true freshmen, how are they adapting?
Well, which ones in particular?
Well, we could start with some of the receivers. Was watching Samorian Wingo, Tyron Evans, Van Spafford today. What are you seeing there?
Don't forget Milan Paris.
Yeah, Milan Paris. Yeah.
You know, don't forget those guys. They've made their presence felt.
Yeah.
The wide receiver room will be the most competitive it's been since we have been here. And Dre and Cam Vaughn, they've done really, really well. Josh Moore has really upped his game this offseason. Also, you know, Dalen Upshaw, people forget that guy caught a hitch against Syracuse and went up and just ran through somebody and got 15 yards. And he was on his way to being an impact guy last year, and he's fully healthy now. So that room is going to be awesome to watch, and it's like tryouts. You know, it's an unbelievable opportunity to keep themselves on edge and get the best out of that room. You know, and credit to Coach Beard and Coach Varner; those guys have done a really good job, you know, pushing that room and managing it, as well as Coach Hofer.
Coach, Wesley was the first athlete that you visited when you first got to Miami.
He was.
Yeah,
he
how
was.
special has it been to see his
We had a press
progression?
conference here. I got in a car. My wife and kids want to kill me. We went over to Miami Central. Coach Roland Smith, that was his last year. They were on their way to the state title. Man, I could go on and on about that day. You know, we're there to see Wesley try to, you know, meet the family, get in the house, because our recruiting footprint, for the most part, was on the West Coast, and saw Ruben there. You know, we weren't allowed to talk to him back then, so we followed the rules and talked to him. But he was there at practice and doing a really good job, and we went to Wesley's house, I believe, that night, if I'm not mistaken, and then fly to go see Matt McCoy, fly to go see Inez Cooper. Drive to go see Ahmad Moten. It was a pretty eventful, like, he had 5 days. You're like, okay, we got to land 10 guys. Let's target the 10 guys. I won't mention the other 5, you know, but it's a great story. Maybe, you know, we'll do a book someday. But those 4 or 5 guys, they were critical, you know.
How good has it been to see the progression and see him at Pro Day?
Which ones? Wesley himself?
Wesley,
Yeah, man. Wesley's a great human being, great family. Been an absolute stud for us here at the University of Miami. I remember him at some point weighing 178 when he was in high school, and leaving here. I mean, he's been anywhere from 225 to 234. It's great size and speed. Really, really smart player. I think he's going to be a great player for a long, long time.
Mario, can we stick with the linebacker room? Obviously, you were able to get Motori back, but
Right.
you know, some of the other guys that are going to try to fill Wesley's shoes.
Well, I'll tell you, a guy that I don't think we spoke enough about was Chase Smith. Chase Smith, by the end of the year, was playing great, physical, tough, smart football. I mean, this is you know, him and Mo have more experience than most NFL tandems, right? Those guys have been around a long time. But Chase Smith came back from an unbelievable, difficult knee injury, and I think he's been awesome. To hit on some of the other guys, I think Bobby Pruitt, Kellen Wiley, those guys are off to a great start because they had a great offseason. KB, Bonner, EJ, Marcelin, I mean, it's probably as competitive as a wide receiver room. I think we've taken another step in terms of size, speed, physicality, but unproven, so to speak, you know, after the first couple of guys. And just like every part of our team, we just have to get a hell of a lot better, you know. I like to say this is a complete restart, a complete reboot, you know. And our team knows that just because we got to the national title last year doesn't mean it just happens this year. Like, this is a complete, like, restart, day one culture, day one, early's on time, be out here early, get your stuff done, be a professional, eat, get your ankles taped, be in those meeting rooms early, ready to roll. And I think those guys, the older guys have done a nice job getting those guys in line so they can take a next step as a player.
We're going to do 2 more. We're going to go to Casey and then we'll do Chris.
Oh, okay. I just was curious about how your approach has changed and evolved the last several years. Just every year you're bringing in a new quarterback and transfers. How has that changed your approach to, let's say, starting up spring ball?
I mean, I don't think it changes much. There's so many different ways to supplement your roster now, and you have to see where your team is at the end of each year. Have you graduated at certain spots where you feel maybe those spots, those guys behind them aren't ready to contribute at a high level? Do you feel you have to go to the portal? Do you feel the high school guys coming in could fill that need? Are you unsure and do you just want to add competition to the room? I mean, every year is so different. But we do assess everything 2 years out, and we try to project 2 years out. That's every single depth chart line, every single player. what they cost, what they might cost, what you're willing to compromise, what you're in terms of roster spots, because at the end you have to have 105, and everybody just about has the same blueprint for how many guys at each position. But to say that we've changed, I'll say what's very consistent, we're very aggressive. We're very aggressive. We do things the right way, but we go and find the right people. And you see, we bring them out to practice. If you were out there today, there's, I don't know, another 50 plus, people watching practice. They have to watch us practice, and they have to make a decision whether this is for them. This blueprint is really respected and coveted by the NFL, brass that has been here the last week or so, testing our guys. But it is demanding, but it is completely geared towards just high-level elite development. It requires guys that really love football and that understand the importance of an elite private education.
Chris?
Coach, with the offensive line, specifically with Matt and Sampson, position-wise, what's the plan for them this spring? And then also as a unit, as a group, how do you
knew there was no shot at getting a specific answer as to where they're going to be playing. You knew that,
They both can't play left guard.
They can play everything, we cross-train everybody. Those guys, heck, Matt's even snapped. How it's going to shake out at the end, it's hard to tell. The positive about those guys is they all have guard, tackle, versatility, flexibility, and on both sides, okay? So what does that mean? As guys like Jackson, Max Buchanan, SJ ramp up, Jaden Wilkerson has had an unbelievable offseason. So Demetrius Campbell has had a great offseason. And Juan Minaya, all these guys have done a lot. JJ Sparks, Reese Woodrow, those guys are advanced freshmen. However the parts fit, so that the five best together playing as one is what we'll do. Between now and then, there's a lot of, I would say, experimenting, a lot of trial and error, and see what's our best combination.